Time now for the FOURQUET debate. We often peddle in political scandal on this show, but this is something else. South Korea's president offering Parliament the chance to let her resign over the undue influence of her friend, the daughter of a cult leader. The opposition wants no part of it, arguing that Park Geun-hye should first face impeachment over allegations that Choi Soon-sil wielded so much influence that big conglomerates, including Samsung, paid her off to get deals approved. The blurring of lines between business and politics grabbing headlines a lot these days in places like Jacob Zuma's South Africa, Donald Trump's America. But with a religious sect, tales of shamanistic rituals, big Viagra purchases, and sordid affairs, this case is different. It sparked huge mass protests. We're going to take stock of today's South Korea, its politics, its top-down conglomerate-driven economy, well, and its democracy. Today in the FOURQUET debate, we're looking at the scandal in Seoul. And with us to talk about it, Claire Ham. She is the producer of the upcoming documentary Paused in Time about the Seawall ferry disaster of 2014, one which may have a link to the problems currently befalling President Park. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. You're usually based in Munich. You're here with us today in Paris. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks as well to Dorian Malovic, the Asia editor of French daily newspaper La Croix, who is the co-author of North Korea in 100 Questions. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Former correspondent for the newspaper in the Far East.
Yeah.
And we're pleased to be welcoming Kathy Moon, who teaches at Wellesley College. She'll be joining us from Boston, the FOURQUET debate, where you can join the conversation on Facebook and Twitter, the hashtag F24debate. Canada has Justin Trudeau, who grew up at 24 Sussex when his father was Prime Minister. South Korea has Park Geun-hye, who grew up at Blue House, as it's called, while her dictator dad, Park Chung-hee, oversaw the country's economic transformation. This was the period from 1961 till his assassination in 1979. Park, a conservative icon until now. Diptyque Laure has more on the latest twist in the unfolding scandal.
Facing a corruption scandal, South Korean President Park Geun-hye says she's willing to resign, but only on her own terms.
여야 정치권이 논의하여 국정의
I will resign once lawmakers come up with measures to transfer power in a way that minimizes any power vacuum and chaos in the government. Then I will step down.
그 일정과
In her third speech to the nation in just a month, Park apologized for her, quote, mistakes in a corruption scandal, but denied legal wrongdoing. Critics want her to step down now and spare the country months of political uncertainty that would come with an impeachment process if Parliament decides so on Friday.
I feel that Park's third speech to the nation lacked a sincere apology and didn't comply with what the public wants, which is an immediate resignation.
Park is accused of helping longtime friend Choi Soon-sil extort tens of millions of dollars from South Korean companies and of giving her access to confidential government documents. The scandal has prompted hundreds of thousands of Koreans to protest in the streets, calling for Park's resignation or impeachment. Members of her own party have also urged her to step down honorably. Park cannot be indicted while in office, but in a first, she has been formally identified as a criminal suspect. If she does step down, she'll be the first South Korean leader to do so since the country's founding leader was forced into exile in 1960.
Claire Ham, I introduced you as a film producer, but you're also an activist. Show us what you have here, first of all.
Okay, so obviously this is millions of Korean people demanding right now in Korea and outside of Korea.
It says resign in French.
Yep.
Yeah.
There were 2 protests in Paris for the last 2 weekends, and this is one. He's the leader of a confederation of labor unions in South Korea. And he's currently in prison for a year now for organizing a protest, just because he organized a protest. And then he has a traffic violation law, and it's ridiculous. So I came here to Paris to protest for this cause.
All right, for those 2 causes. So let me ask you, when we saw that report there, should she resign? Should she be allowed to resign? Or should Parliament say, no, let's go through the impeachment process? Why is that impeachment process important? Because either way, she's going to face charges, it seems.
Yeah, but the thing is, impeachment process takes time to go through legal process, and the Constitutional Court, they have to agree. And we found it's a waste of time, because the President Park already wasted 4 hours of our time. So, of course, we prefer her step down immediately. But since she refused to do so, the only legal way we can get rid of her is the impeachment.
Hang on, you're saying she refuses to step down,
Yes.
but she's saying, I'm asking Parliament to find me a way to let me step down?
It's really tricky, because we don't actually... Nobody in Korea, except today's announcement, as a willingness to resignation. There is some movement among conservative politicians. They want to change the constitution. So they try to find some loophole in the legal process. And it's complicated. But basically, we don't see any sign of a resignation from her today.
You're saying she could just resign?
She could resign, but she is refusing to resign.
Dorian Malovic?
I mean, it's a very complex situation. I mean, of course, the public opinion would like her to resign. First, it's very hard for her to resign. If she resigns, she would lose the presidential immunity. That would mean she would be right away indicted, put into trial, and judged, and she can go to jail, which she doesn't want to do. Then this speech this morning is a political smart move from Park Geun-hye, really. She is now advised by a lawyer, and this very smart guy, and now she just said nothing. She just said, I'm ready to resign if the impeachment process is going its way. But that means that for the parliament to impeach her, they need 3/3 of the parliament vote.
2/3.
Sorry, 2/3. Yes, 2/3. The opposition doesn't have 2/3, so they must get the lawmakers from her party. Even if they vote the impeachment, then the Constitutional Court would have to say yes or no. Among the 9 judges, 6 are necessary who said yes, she has to go. And it's going to be about 3 months, 180 days for the Constitutional Court to tell the verdict. So it's a smart move. I mean, I cannot see her resign by herself now. That's the big tricky thing. She's very
Why
smart.
is she hanging on?
I mean, there are several reasons. I mean, her name is Park, you know. She's Park Geun-hye's daughter. I mean, the general dictator of the 60s until 79. He was assassinated, and now she came back to politics in the 2008. She was a star. Now she is the president, and she's a very strong-minded person. I mean, she's strong, and she's been elected by a lot of people because she was the symbol of integrity in some way. I mean, she's not very rich herself. I mean, the money, all the process now is not about her getting rich. It's about Choi Soon-sil, friend, getting money thanks to her relationship with her. So I cannot see her resign on her own now. I think it's very difficult. And then her speech is just empty, actually. It was very smart, but then it's just to save time, to save some time. And if I may add so, but maybe we can talk about later, tomorrow there could be some news that would distract the public opinion of the South Koreans about North Korea. The UN is going to vote new sanctions on North Korea, so that could be a good way of distracting a little bit the people.
All right, but that'll gain her what, 24 hours or something?
Well, that could be, you put the brother, the northern brother, like an evil brother, that could be another.
And surely even within conservative ranks,
yes,
people must be turning against her.
Yes, it has been said that around, 30 or 40 lawmakers from the Saenuri party, I mean her party, would vote against her. But then after the speech now, she knows that the opposition is not so united, actually. They are not sure that even with the next presidential election, at best within the 60 days, they are not really sure to win anything if they have a candidate. So it's a very tricky game for the opposition too,
So at the heart of this, of course, is this woman, this friend of hers, Choi, and we were saying at the outset how when there was the seawall ferry, because we've heard so many rumors, right? We don't know what's fact and what's fiction when it comes to one of these rumors was, I don't know how substantiated it is, but that she was not at the helm when the seawall ferry disaster happened and those 300 people, mostly students, died in that ferry disaster, that she was somehow missing.
For 7 hours.
7 hours.
What's your take on that?
Of course, I am very upset with a lot of issues with her, but I think the most upsetting thing is that when your own people drowning to death and she was missing for 7 hours and she still refused to tell us where she was. She said she was at the Blue House, but nobody knows where she was. I don't think anybody can imagine this happening in France. And even the George Bush, he was hesitating for 7 minutes at September 11th, and he was attacked the whole time. And then somehow the Korean politicians, they use that this is her privacy, her private matter. But I don't think the president should have a privacy during working hours when there's a national emergency happening. And she should tell us what she did. And for us, this is very disrespectful.
What do you make of it? Those 7 hours. What do you?
There were a lot of rumors, and we have this journalist turned into director Lee Sang-ho Lee. He's making a documentary about trying to figure out where she was. There are rumors she did some surgeries or plastic stuff. There's like horrible rumors about she did some rituals, religious rituals, and some people think she's getting drugged. This is just rumors that it's not need to be.
Yeah, we mentioned this this
but
story that's also come out about Viagra earlier this month, that there were hundreds of vials of it that were purchased by the presidency. Earlier this month, the presidency launching a facts website where it most notably stated that the Viagra was for altitude sickness when the president and her entourage traveled to places like Ethiopia, where they might suffer altitude sickness. You were saying a moment ago, Dorian Malevich, how President Park has been very clever in the way she's handled the steady drip of scandal that has come out of all of this. But what do you make of it? These accusations of shamanistic rituals, these drugs for cosmetics, Viagra, sex allegations. There's talk even of a sex tape or something.
We can imagine anything. I mean, but I think that Mrs. Ham is right. The Seoul sinking with the 300 young students, and they were young, they were 14, 16. It was dramatically lived by the public opinion. I mean, she was not there. Secondly, her so-called good friend, shaman, or, mudang, whatever, and making kut I mean, shamanistic things. I don't really know whether it's true or not, but the people just don't really care about that. They care about Chesun-il. She's really very influenced on Park. But we have to go back in history because, in fact, Park Geun-hye had a very nice childhood until 1974 when her mother was killed, assassinated. Then 5 years later...
Assassinated by a North Korean spy.
Yes, exactly. And 5 years later, her father was assassinated by a close aide of him, you know, because he disagreed with the politics. Then she was an orphan, and she turned to Chesun-il's father, who was, you know, a sect leader, a sect guru. But the revelation of this friend is everything that for the the South Koreans, it's deeply rooted in the Korean soul. This relationship with the spirits or the ancestors is commonly shared by a lot of people today. You have thousands of shaman, honest shaman in Seoul, and people go just to ask for the good health of the children, for the study. And they feel she has betrayed the culture and the soul of the people by being too close of this friend who took advantage of this relationship to get money from the big conglomerate. Like, you know, we know Samsung, Hyundai, SK, Lotte, everything. And it reveals, in fact, the deep, dark side of the so-called democratic South Korea, very successful, but it's based on very unstable basis. And that's what is shocking for the public, I think.
Can I say my opinion? Because the Chae Tae-min, the father of Chesun-il, the corrupted religious sect, actually, they said a lot of people used to believe that he approached her after her mother passed away. Yeah. But his Chae Tae-min's son, later he made a testimony that actually Park Geun-hye and Chae Tae-min was a friend for a long time. They knew each other before.
Yeah, we've seen pictures. We've seen pictures in the press of those pictures. He's been dubbed the Korean Rasputin.
Yeah, I think Park Geun-hye, I think it's very fair, maybe worse, because for a few decades, he's been criminal, charged with a lot of crimes. He has like several wives, and then he was very so many fraud issues, and he was just a notorious criminal. And then I think Park Geun-hye used him for his political support.
All right, we're going to pick up on these points when we come back. Stay with us. You're watching the FOURQUET debate.